Dear all, in this video, I shall be sharing certain random thoughts with you all. Well, seeing things as they ought to be seen requires dispassionate detachment from the issue under examination. Not accepting reality will not change the outcome of events, rather, it will catch us unprepared. A typical ostrich mentality is that we often hear only what we want to hear and we bury our heads in sand to shut out senses to perceived threats that we may find difficult to surmount. The trouble is of acceptance, and unless we accept, we may never be able to mend. Quick fixing and troubleshooting is not the answer for a lasting solution. At the expense of buying the wrath of many who may not quite agree with me, I wish to bring out that why we can't simply acknowledge certain realities so that we are able to tackle those challenges better. Like, for example, China has occupied ground of tactical importance in Galwan Valley with the intention of giving depth to the China-Pakistan economic corridor and will not vacate it uncontested. India's military and economic strength in comparison to China does not permit us to militarily force China's eviction from Galwan Valley. Pakistan has built up a sizable military strength in Gilgit-Baltistan in POK to complement the forces that are deployed by China opposite us in eastern Ladakh. There could be an imminent threat of a two-front localized operation by China, Pakistan in Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh. I have in fact made a video on the same which you can also have a look at. Further, defense acquisition amounting to rupees 31,000 crores that has been announced today only highlights that we were not paying enough attention to our defense needs. One must understand that these weapon systems that we have ordered now will at least take a year and a half to come into service. Our expectations from the Indian Armed Forces must be commensurate with the military budgetary outlay of $71.1 billion as compared to China that allocates nearly $261 billion. Carrying out digital strike against China and banning Chinese products in India will amount to shooting in the foot with the expectation that it will hurt an internationally acclaimed shoe company. The shoe company will find another buyer, but we will be crippled for life. Now, India needs to build up its capacity and military muscle before it starts flexing it. There is a crying need to procure, upgrade and modernize our defense forces. The same can only happen if the government has enough funds available to invest in defense procurements. The economic growth of India as forecasted by IMF in 2020 is in the negative. Hence, the real catch is to boost economy and then slowly build up requisite capacity. Let's look at things a little differently for a moment. We know that in the previous financial year, India imported goods worth around 65.26 billion from China and exported just about $1.6 billion worth. Now, China's exports to India are just about 2% of its total global exports. Hence, it will not hurt China as much it will hurt India to abruptly ban Chinese products. In order to kickstart our economy after COVID, we need to cut the input costs as also put money into the pockets of middle income group so that the economy takes off. The same can only happen if we can get cheaper goods and products. In other words, if India has to become strong, it will have to start thinking from the brain instead of from the heart. It is sometimes prudent to lose a battle with the larger objective of winning a war. China spends around 2 billion every year on R&D, and that's how it has become the manufacturing hub of the world. There is so much that we can actually learn from the enemy. Indians are known world over for creating jugards. Given the right incentives and wherewithal, we could start by manufacturing small items that we import from China. India must use the advantage of cheaper Chinese goods to create wealth. That must be used to skill people and build capacity rather than doling out freebies for cheap popularity and electoral gains. However, everything will boil down to acceptance of the state of affairs that we find ourselves in. Let's pull our heads out of the sand and not feel embarrassed to acknowledge what needs to be fixed has to be fixed now. The enemy, presently, if we look at it, it's Pakistan, China, and Nepal all aligned together, is already at our gates. If we want peace, we must prepare for war. I believe that it is better for the nation to go too far than not going far enough. Thank you. Jai Hind.